CJ Stroud's role in the offseason. New guy for CJ. Let's check in on his old guy as well. Wyatt Teller met with the media. I was there. I'll give my biggest takeaways. Plus, let's follow the mocks. Less than a month away from the draft. What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
A good boy.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop.
Less than a month away from the draft. What a time to be alive. What a time to cover the squad. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can see me, hear me here throughout the week, as well as on SNL Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock. We'll also be at Spanky's this Friday, the 27th. We want to see you there. Last one was popping. This one should be fun as well. And we'll be even further along when it comes to getting to the draft, which is going to be a big party. We got some big things planned, and we're looking forward to spending time with y'all. So CJ Stroud's got a new guy in town, and Alpha Aaron actually asked this question. I think Alpha Aaron had actually said this before as well, so I will give Alpha Aaron credit for this, for digging this up and bringing this up.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
Aaron Wilson of KPRC. Wyatt Teller, who met with the media today, apparently he has a relationship with CJ Stroud. And CJ may have had a hand in bringing him in town. This was the Alpha asking Wyatt Teller about that. And I think it's good to know that CJ Stroud is still engaged enough to where, you know, he's actively shouting out, staying in touch, giving his opinion on free agents.
CJ and I got to talk at PAO, which is the Christian-based NFL Christian-based seminar conference. And it's East Coast, West Coast. We've met 2 years ago when it was on the East Coast, and then this past year it was in Dana Point, California. And just getting to talk to him, you know, it was like he was recruiting me and recruiting my wife, but really he was just saying, you know, wherever you go, you know, I know you're going to have, you know, success and everything like that, but I would love for you to block for me and everything like that. And, you know, just kind of be an enforcer and a protector of him, you know, when he's healthy. You know, I don't know many teams that can beat the Houston Texans. So if I can help in any way, not that I need to be Superman or anything like that, but just get back to what I'm good at, and protect my quarterbacks and running backs.
There you go. So CJ Stroud, big Wyatt Teller guy. That's good to hear. That the quarterback is engaged. Now I don't know if that's like a bare minimum type of thing. Like that, we kind of had some fun yesterday with the big story from TJ Hushmanzada. I didn't know he had a podcast, but I guess TJ Hushmanzada said that CJ Stroud is working out every day, and it was like, hey, that's cool, but I'm not shocked by that. Like I never thought that CJ Stroud's problem was that he wasn't like working out in the summer or something. But yeah, CJ Stroud wanted Wyatt Teller to be here. I think that's a good thing. Good job by the Alpha of digging that up. Now, I will say this, though. The Alpha's got to quit tagging Wyatt Teller's wife in every post he has. I know she's involved, but you got to tone it down just a little bit. Like, you don't have to bother her for everything, Aaron. Come on, man. I know you wanted to share it, but come on, Alpha. I'll give you the credit, and then I'll just kind of say, hey, let's tone it down. Let's maybe one wife post a month, not like 6. Goodness gracious, you're all over. I think she's got like fashion stuff going on. She doesn't need the Alpha picture popping up in her timeline all the time. But I think it's cool that CJ Stroud wanted him here, and I think it's cool that he's a guy that I think most Texans fans wanted here. I think he's a guy that helps the Texans as a team, and he helps them get better. And I think if you kind of read between the lines of what Wyatt Teller said today, I think it kind of goes back to what we've talked about with King Cole. Known as Cole Popovich, to people not familiar with that nickname yet. the offensive line coach for the Texans, Cole Popovich, I think that he's trying to get more of an adult vibe in the offensive line room. I think he's trying to get more of a blue collar, adult vibe in the locker room. And you heard Wyatt Teller talk about Ed Ingram. I guess Ed Ingram just got married, and they've been talking about that type of stuff. There was a time where, and two of the guys, they're already gone, and they've gone on and they've gotten richer, and they're in new destinations. But it was about video games. It was about money. It was about just stuff that I don't think that's the mindset that Cole Popovich wants. I think Cole Popovich he doesn't want guys who are more finesse, pass blocking, although those guys do get stacks and those guys live great lives and those guys are very talented. I'm talking about Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard. I think he wants more guys that are run blockers, and are willing to get in there and mix it up, like a Wyatt Teller, like a Braden Smith. And I'm not sitting here saying that those guys are on caliber of the previously mentioned guys, but when you have that mindset, even if you lose a step, a lot of times, and you heard Wyatt Teller mention it today, iron sharpens iron. Laramie Tunsil's not sharpening anything. Laramie Tunsil is a talented, elitely talented guy who is an elite businessman, who does his own thing. Offensive line needs to be cohesive. And I think Laramie Tunsil's probably going to retire, and he's not going to regret anything. He's doing a fine job. And he's going to set himself up very nicely. He's probably never going to win a Super Bowl, and he's going to continue to be rich. And that's what Laramie Tunsil is going to do. And I don't know whether the Texans are going to win one or not, but with what the offensive line looked like with Laramie Tunsil there, it wasn't going to work. I don't think it's as extreme with Titus Howard. I think just eventually they just kind of moved on. But there's a new mindset, and you can listen to Wyatt Teller talk, and what he talks about, and all being bros and all that type of stuff. And I think that's what he's trying to develop, he being King Cole, when it comes to the offensive line. And I think Iman is kind of right. Definitely swarm. Yeah, I think the offensive line is becoming swarm.
Definitely swarm. I think he would fit in.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it. It's much more efficient than what I said. Some people don't know what swarm means, but I think that they're definitely swarm, 100%. On the chat here in the locker room,
swarm,
and we'll hear what Teller had to say about Popovich in a second. Evan on the chat though says swarm, definitely swarm, swing tackle. Yeah, I think they have a swarm. I don't know who you're talking about. Swing tackle, maybe Braden Smith. Who knows? Or maybe you're talking draft. Let's hear what Teller had to say about old Pop and what he thinks about King Cole. And you can tell he already is talking about that Pop is kind of nerdy. Now, I will warn you, Wyatt Teller, very long-winded today. His answers were very, very long, but this was him talking about King Cole, known by his government name of Cole Popovich.
Got to talk to him for a little bit, and he's a hard guy, but I feel like that's what you need, and I feel like that's what's going to get us back to being playing at the level that I know I can play at, and helping in any way I can. Technique might be different, whatever. I know that coach is going to work us and make sure that we're getting it right. But first impressions was, he seems like he's out here to make you the best player you can be. And I appreciate that. Not that any coach doesn't, but, sometimes I just feel like that can kind of get, behind you. And, I feel like that's on the forefront of his mindset, is just having the best team, best players out there. And, having the mindset of nothing is perfect. I mean, it's kind of like when I had Coach Callahan, I could drive a guy down 20 yards with one hand and pancake him, and he'd be like, well, that's cool. Why didn't you get the safety? And I feel like there's something to that, and, playing at a high level at all times, and consistency, and, things that, I felt like I had a little bit of, but really being consistent and, that nitty gritty player that's going to help the Texans win.
Talking about Bill Callahan, one of the best offensive line coaches of all time. So if you can get coached by Bill Callahan and you've had the fortune of getting coached by Bill Callahan, then you can probably handle King Cole Popovich. He already said he's kind of a intense guy there. He said he's a hard guy. Pause. But that's what he said. So you can tell he's already kind of feeling old Pop. We'll get back to Teller in a sec. I got to ask him about the last 2 years, not good years, when it comes to what happened in the previous seasons. Try to make some sense of it from his point of view, because we've talked about what Browns fans have said, media, all that. Try to make sense of it from his point of view in a sec. And we'll also get real nerdy. If you're an offensive line guy, then you can get real nerdy when you hear this. Seth Payne actually asked him about the left guard stuff, and I felt like they were really just broing out with this nerdy stuff. So we'll hear that in a sec. There's also a funny moment with Seth. This is actually really hilarious. So Seth put this up. So I'll pull back the curtain. I'm sure Seth is going to joke about this tomorrow. Seth over at Sports Radio 610, my friend, former colleague over there at 610. But he was asking me, because the Texans, it's kind of crazy. Do companies still use Zoom? I know we got some we have truck drivers all the way up to like any area of work, from truck drivers to restaurant and hotel workers to like big time corporate people. Do people still use Zoom? Because the only time I use Zoom is when the Texans have a press conference over Zoom. They still use Zoom. I use StreamYard because that's what you use, but they still use Zoom. So Seth's Zoom skills are a little bit rusty. Mine are only a little bit polished. I know enough to get dangerous because of the Texans pressers. So Seth asked me, how do I raise my hand? And I told Seth, I said, you got to click the heart. And when you click the heart, you don't double click it. You click to the right of it. It gives you like options, like how to raise your hand and stuff. You have to click it. So I said, click the heart and then go up to the hand. Well, Seth clicked the heart, and this literally happened during Teller's press conference. And you could see me kind of look over, trying to keep a straight face, because it's like, if you've been in a Zoom, it's all up here so everyone can see you. But watch this. This was hilarious. And then I'll pick it up my phone to text him and tell him, brother, that's not what you were supposed to do. So click to the right of it. It was funny. Seth click that. On the chat, Tazewell says, where can I find your show? Seth? Now, we don't do a show together. It's just from the Zoom. We're probably gonna, me and Cody and Seth will probably collab during the draft. We were going to during the combine, but the time just never aligned, because Seth's on from 6 to 10, and then usually the interviews were going on and stuff there. But that was just from the Zoom. It wasn't an actual show. To be honest, I don't know that me and Seth, like, as much as we get along, we probably get along more now that we don't cross path as much. I don't know if me and Seth could do like a daily show together. There would be a lot of arguing, which maybe some people would enjoy a little bit. So we'll get back to Wyatt Teller in a sec, but I want to talk about from CJ's new guy to CJ's old guy and still his guy, Tank Dell. So Tank Dell's had a couple of interesting developments the last couple of years. Like, new year, new Tank. because he's going to have a new number. He's going to rock number 1, and he's going to have a new agent. David Mulligetta is going to be his agent. Now, the number I don't put a lot of stock in, although I will say that there's probably a new 713. They're trying to push the 713, but now Jalen Noll is going to be number 13. So the 713 connection is going to be alive and well. I actually expect big things from Jalen Noll. I think Jalen Noll should probably, like in a perfect world, in a realistic world, should probably be better than Tank Dell this year. Just given what Tank has been through and the fact that we really haven't seen 2023 Tank since 2023. 2024 was not great. Not rooting against it, but I would say the 713 connection is pretty alive and well with Noll. But as far as the new number, don't really put a lot of stock in it. I will say when it comes to on-field swag, I don't know if people still use the word swag, but I'm millennial, so I'll keep it rolling. Tank Dell can make any number look solid. He knows how to bring it on the field. And then you also have a new agent, which I don't know what that means. He's going to have to play well for that to be a thing. Rob on the chat says, if Tank is even half of what he was, his route running is twice what Noll's is any day. I don't know that I agree with that. I wouldn't say Noll runs bad routes. I think he probably didn't know where to go, but I wouldn't. Twice? Yeah, I don't know about that. And if he's running good routes, he's still got to be able to get open. I don't know if Tank's going to be able to get open as well. He wasn't in 2024 before that injury, but he was also dealing with another end of season injury. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that. James says he's tuning in from the sauna. I don't. That might be too much information, brother. You could just said locked in. I don't need to think about you in a sauna, bro. I don't know what's up with that. Are you going the little baby? I bet you James goes the little baby. James goes the little baby in the sauna. Let me see if I can find this. Who posted this? Oh yeah, little baby wearing his he's wearing his entire gear in the sauna. Right here. There you go. This is James right here. James has the hat in. There you go. Look at little baby. He's in a sauna. He's got his whole fit on. That's James right there. Anyway, I digress. But as far as the Tank Dell thing goes, I just, it's, my expectations aren't high. My rooting interest is because I want Tank Dell to do well. I just think it's unfair to expect that. And if Jalen Noll's not better than Tank Dell, then I think that's going to be an indictment on Jalen Noll at this point, and really the selection as a whole to take it when they did. But I would be surprised if Jalen Noll doesn't significantly take a massive step, and I would be very surprised if we saw the Tank Dell that we saw the Tank Dell we saw in 2023. It'd be crazy because we didn't see that in 2024. We got a little glimpse of it against KC, in fairness, but we didn't really see that, and we don't know if Tank Dell is going to be able to hold up. Two season-ending injuries is what it is, but we're all rooting for it. But I do have 3 Tank Dell questions when it comes to what is going to happen with Tank Dell, and we'll eliminate like any discussion because everybody wants Tank Dell to do well. It's obvious, like everybody wants Tank Dell to do well. Nobody wants Tank Dell to not do well. When James says he's got to burn off what he's going to eat at Spanky's, yeah, you got Stoots wanting the cheesy bread now, James. Join us at Spanky's this Friday. James is the entertainment at Spanky's. Like, I legitimately, not trying to sound corny, I legitimately enjoy going there and just talking ball with James. James will argue with you about anything, any damn thing. Question one that I have about Tank Dell is, how will he look? How's he going to look? Like, is Tank Dell going to be? He's fighting for his career. I mean, that's not too harsh. Like, Tank Dell, if he can stay healthy, he's talented enough to be able to hang around the league, but he's fighting for his career right now. I mean, that was damn near, and it still could end up being a career-ending injury. And just the fact that we're even talking about Tank Dell having a jersey is nice. Like, we don't have to go through it. It wasn't just one injury. It was 3 or 4 injuries in one. One of those has been proven as a career ender. And that was after about a year before that, he had another injury. So what will Tank Dell look like? Your guess is as good as mine. If Tank Dell goes out there and practices, that's success. If Tank Dell performs in practice, that's success. If Tank Dell performs in a preseason game, that's success. If Tank Dell makes the team and contributes, that's success. If Tank Dell gets cut and Tank Dell isn't what he once was, that's success. Because what his body's went through and what he's gone through is insane. And we're also talking about a guy who, heading into the NFL, like, there were questions about Tank Dell being able to hold up. Let's just be serious. Like, people were talking about the size. Like, can Tank Dell hold up? Now, some may say, well, it was fluke injuries. Sure. But, I mean, does someone bigger, like, is it not as bad? Like, if just use common sense. Like, is it more likely that there's going to be more damage on a smaller, thinner leg than like what you typically see in the NFL? I think that is all fair. But what will Tank Dell look like is the question. It's going to be fun to observe, and it's very easy to root for, regardless of whether you're the person who thinks he's going to come back and it's comeback season and he's going to be awesome. Or if you think, he's not going to be what he once was. So, yeah, that's the one thing to look at. On the chat, username unrecognized 1. Shout out to you, my friend.
Swarm.
He says, finally able to catch a late night stream. I pity anyone who's hoping for a Tank return. I doubt he makes the 52-man roster. 53. But man, I'd love to see the Tank comeback. Yes, I would agree. I would agree with you on that. Yes, I would definitely agree with you on that. It's a weird thing to expect. In a way, it's almost disrespectful. It's almost disrespectful to expect it based on realistic expectations. James from the sauna says, anybody that believes that his injuries aren't directly correlated with his size frame is lying to themselves. That's my thing. Like, it in the big scheme of things, it really doesn't matter, because whether it's a fluke or not, it happened. Whether it's a fluke or not, it happened, and the reservations were there. So they don't just go away. So it's kind of you gotta, the manner in which it's talked about and the manner in which it's discussed is sometimes like generates a lot of emotion, which I like from fans. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the same stuff happens to Nico Collins, like, is it as bad? Let's sit here saying it's not great. Like, Jared Wayne dives into anyone's legs, it's not great. But if he dives into Nico Collins' leg, is it as bad as it was with Tank? If someone rolls into Nico Collins' leg, is it as bad as it was with Tank? Even Jalen Noll, like, because Jalen Noll has a pretty he's not as skinny as Tank. So I do think that does need to be factored in. At the big scheme of things, it really doesn't matter. Brandon on the chat, still talking about the Tank thing. And we'll get to questions 2 and 3. He says, if Tank adds more muscle and bulk, he won't be as shifty or quick, which will lead to him taking even more hits. Some guys just can't add muscle and bulk. Like Kalen Bullock, we thought that, you saw him at first and it was like, oh man, is Kalen Bullock going to come back jacked? Not really. Like some guys just don't add like a lot of bulk. Your body type is your body type. Tank's body type is a lot. Like I can promise you that Tank Dell would like to probably squat and add some bulk. Some people just can't do it. Like some people just have body types to where you just can't do that. That's just not in the nature. Like Ed Reed, he put on some weight, but for the most part, it was always kind of the same type of body type. Same thing with Bullock. So yeah, I think if Tank had to choose, he would have to figure that out to balance that. But I think the other thing is Tank Dell was not as explosive early on in this, like for the most part of the 2024 season after 2023. But I think that gets kind of mentioned a little bit as well. Deleted user, my goodness, what did you do? Says, Landry, do you agree they should get a speedy wide receiver in the mid rounds? I need Malik Benson or Thompson speed monsters. I'm a Zachariah Branch guy. I think they need a guy who can run screens. So I'm more of a Zachariah Branch guy. That's where I'm at. Rob says Noll running routes in practice with Tank every day will make Noll significantly better by the end of the season. What is that? What? This is where we just take stuff too far with the Tank stuff. Like I like Tank. I want Tank to do well. He's a fine route runner, but we talk about him like he's like Cooper Kupp or something like that. Like this, I love the fandom that Tank Dell has, but this is hilarious. This is funny, Rob. And I love you, Rob. I appreciate you. So Noll running routes is going to make him significantly better by the end of the season. He's going to be awesome by the end of the season. What happened to John Mechie? Like John Mechie was running routes with Tank Dell the whole time. This is just taking it too far. This is just taking it too far. Like he's gonna make Noll better because Noll's gonna sit by him and run routes, like run next to him. Like, come on, guys. Like that's a lot. We'll get back to the Tank Dell questions though. So question 1 was, how will he look? Some people think he's gonna look really good. Some people think, okay, he's gonna be a notch down. Some people think he's not gonna make the 53 as we saw earlier. That's question 1. It's an open-ended question. No right or wrong answer. We'll see what it looks like. Question 2, what if Tank is understandably not what he once was, not who he was, which, again, we saw in 2024. What if he's not that? How do the Texans handle that is the question I'm asking. He's a big part of this team. He's around the team a lot. He's very passionate. He's worked his ass off to get to the point where we're even having a discussion about how he fits in, which he deserves a hell of a lot of credit for. And again, considered success. But is there like a sentimental lean with the Texans with Tank Dell? Like, are they willing, like if Tank Dell's not himself and he's not good, are they willing to cut Tank Dell? Or is Tank Dell going to be someone that they just do whatever they can to keep him around? That's really the question. Now, hopefully he performs well and you don't have to really worry about it. But how would they handle that? Is there kind of a Tank lean? In question 3, to bring this back to CJ Stroud and his new guy and his old guy, how will Stroud handle it? Will CJ Stroud be able to handle life without Tank? I don't know. I mean, he's very emotional, and he's gotten very emotional with all the Tank stuff. He's obviously he plays pro football. He's seen a lot of his friends go away, but like, how will that be handled? Like, is there a Tank lean? What does Tank look like? And if they have to make a tough decision, how would CJ handle that? Would it be tough? It's his guy. I don't think it's a coincidence that David Mulugheta is taking on Tank Dell. Talented football player, but I mean, at this point, David Mulugheta, top of the line. I think it's, you also look at David Mulugheta took on Steven Nelson, who was pretty close with CJ Stroud as well. I don't think it's a coincidence. So how would he handle that? We'll see. But I think most people are rooting for Tank Dell. Let's get back to CJ's new guy. We're also going to talk about the mocks. I hate mock drafts. I like observing mock drafts. I don't like doing mock drafts. Last time I did a mock draft, I basically won the Texans a Super Bowl because these things are so unrealistic. Stoots likes the mocks. I know people like the mocks. I know it's like low-hanging fruit a lot of times. I'm not really a mock guy. It's not really a mock guy. You know what I am, though? I am a big backyard guy. And fortunately for me, and fortunately for us, fortunately for you, fortunately for Cody, we know just where to go when it comes to the backyard, and that's Ace Outdoor Solutions. Zach is the man. He can do anything. You want a nice little patio with the shade, with the TVs, he's got you covered. You want a new fence? He's got you covered. You want a hot tub? He's got you covered. You want a pool? He's got you covered. You look back in that backyard, you have a lot of imagination, a lot of possibilities. Most people now that have backyards, they like to watch football outside. Some setups are better than others. No job too big, no job too small for Zach. And he will let you play out your vision. You can get creative. It's not going to be some stock, basic ass installation type of thing. He'll have you covered. So let Zach do that for you. Get your free quote, aceoutdoorsolutions.com. Call him at 346-237-0573. Zach's got you covered. He's a Texans fan, just like you. All right, so let's hear about Wyatt Teller's new left guard role. Seth Payne asked him about this after he figured out the heart situation. And it's obvious this guy's a left guard. Like, there's no, I'm going to do what the team wants, all that. Like, you listen to this and get your popcorn ready. I told you my man can talk. I'm not even like an offensive line nerd guy, but I did enjoy like how much thought he put into this and how technical he got. So even a simp like me could appreciate this stuff. But this was Teller talking about the left guard role, courtesy of a question asked by Seth Payne.
I was left guard all throughout college. And then my first year started 7 games in Buffalo at left guard. And then I get moved to, get traded to Cleveland. And they had a pretty good left guard there who was already a Pro Bowler and all pro and Joel Bitonio. So I don't think I was going to play much left guard. But moved to right guard, had some growing pains those first years because you're just relearning. It's like writing with your right hand and writing with your left hand, right? You can learn it, but it's going to take some time. But then, under, Bill Callahan, everything like that, really just doing the reps a million times. I've learned a couple things throughout that to, be able to make the transition a little bit easier. But that being said, you're right. You're going to have to relearn. I'm not kicking with my right foot back anymore. I'm going to kick with my left. That being said, there's times where, if we're working against a one technique or something like that, my naturally your post foot drops back. So it's not like I haven't been in a left-handed stance or left guard pass protecting stance for too long. But even I was talking to Ethan Posick, I think it was last night or the night before, and he was like, Wyatt, I think you're going to make this transition easy because naturally when I go to a hop, my left foot drops and it's my post foot, and I feel like I have a lot of strength in my post side that now is going to transition to my right. But also like just the wear and tear of football. I feel like so long I've been throwing that, right hand that now it's like now I can use that left hand with a strong catch hand. And it's not like my left hand isn't strong. I'm just saying it's just usually a little different. but no, I'm excited to work with Coach Pop and, just, relearn how to do it, but also at the same time, just help in any way I can. And, I've pulling and stuff like that, where it's like a pulled out of right-handed stance. But at the end of the day, even if we have a, O pull cross the center or a G pull play side, being able to, just open the hip and turn, I've been able to do both ways for my entire career. So, there's going to be a little bit weird putting my left hand in the ground at first, but, football is a weird sport in general. You gotta learn how to do it from a 2-point, from a 3-point. So it's all going to work out.
All right. So, I mean, that was a hell of a breakdown by and he went very, very, very in depth there as to what he's doing. But I mean, he also left no mystery. I mean, the guy's playing left guard. So they brought him in, and that's where he's going to play. Ingram's going to be the right guard. And I will say this, I'm not completely eliminating the possibility of him play. Yeah. He could talk. He can he can give you some long answers there. But I'm not eliminating the possibility of drafting a guard. But I will say that I think the likelihood is less, because that's a guy who is prepared to be a starting left guard, and Ed Ingram is a guy who they did pay. So do you completely eliminate the whole possibility? I mean, no, I wouldn't completely eliminate it, but I would say this. This is kind of something that is maybe surprising to some, but not all. I do think tackle is more likely than guard at this point. I think center's an inevitability. But as far as like early 28, 38, I think that the heavy betting favorite in the imaginary Landry Locker Sportsbook is obviously DT. But I would say that tackle early with one of the first 2 picks, maybe, I would say it's more likely than guard. And I don't know how that makes you feel. We don't know if that's going to be a certainty. The draft makes fools of us all. But I think that if you're talking about which is earlier, I think tackle. You're older on the right side of tackle. So maybe if you can add a swing, replace Blake Fisher. I think they would love to bring in a right tackle who perhaps fits the King Cole mindset. Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it. And be able to move on from Blake Fisher. I mean, they basically were playing Twister last year, trying to avoid playing Blake Fisher. They did everything they could until they actually had to play him. And in a number 57 is reporting eligible role. So I would say tackle is more likely than guard early on. How does that make you feel? Different strokes for different folks. But that's where they're at. So Tank Dell got some interesting changes going on. We'll see what he looks like. It'll be fun. He's going to set off the internet in like OTAs when he's like running around out there. Now, whether he's cleared for contact or not, we'll see. But when he's out there for like OTAs or mini camps or whatever, Tank Dell is definitely he's going to set the internet off. And that'll be probably one of the more popular topics locally. No doubt about it. All right, final thing from Wyatt Teller, and then we're going to talk about some draft stuff, which we're less than a month away from. Friday at Spanky's once again. We look forward to seeing you there. So I've talked about this a few times on the stream. I've talked about this on SNL. I talked about this on the collective. You don't hear too many people in Cleveland talk about it. And I actually have decent roots out there in Cleveland. With the media out there, you don't hear too many people saying that Wyatt Teller can't play. And the last 2 years have not been good for him, especially given the fact that he was a Pro Bowler for a damn near half-decade stretch before that. I asked Wyatt Teller to make some sense of that and perhaps talk about what he's learned from the experience. Let's hear what Wyatt had to say about that. People like us, we try to make sense of the last 2 years in Cleveland. and what went on, and what type of player you are right now. But from the man himself, how would you describe the last 2 years, and what have you learned from the last 2 years as you approach your next destination? Appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. I feel like the last 2 years in Cleveland have been tough. You know, we went through a lot of growing pains through quarterbacks and running backs and a lot of offensive positions and stuff. Personally, I feel like there was some good ball out there, but there's also stuff that I could have gotten better at. Or been better at. It feels like it's been a blank. And, 2 years ago, or really 3 years ago, we were in Houston playing y'all, and, hearing that loud stadium and everything like that. So it's right there. We were right on the cusp of being a really talented team, and we had a winning streak going in there. But, a team like the Texans, they have, so much talent, great quarterback, great running back, people to build off of. So much stability and great culture, great coaches. It feels like, what we were right on that edge in Cleveland having, 2 years ago, we're right there, or you guys are already there. And, however I can help, coming in and playing at the best I can be, getting back to what I'm good at, being that nasty, gritty player. I feel like a little bit of my play, there was couple plays this past year where, there's shows of it and there's glimpses of it, but kind of being that consistent player again, where, all Pro Bowl player that can help the Texans win.
Okay. He probably has more to say about that. Like, maybe in a different setting. There's got to be a little bit more to it, because it's like a big mystery as to what went down. The downfall is proportional to the whole organization, so there is that. But we just wonder, like, what happened. He did say, as he got more comfortable, that I think he felt that there was a transformation in Cleveland to where they went from being a running team to a passing team. And he hangs his hat on being a running guy instead of a pass blocking guy. So maybe that's what it is. But I think Trucker kind of says this.
Swarm.
Want some dressing with that word salad. Yeah, that was. He might be able to give Nick Caserio a run for his money. Maybe there were a little bit of nerves. I think we'll get to where we see what he's like when he's comfortable. But I think there was probably a little bit of nerves there. But yeah, that wasn't as in depth as we can get, and maybe there'll be more opportunity, perhaps, to get some more of that. But yeah, there wasn't really a lot there when it came to that. So we'll see if that plays out or not. But the thing about Teller is it seems like this is more of an adult offensive line, and Cole Popovich seems to have a vision for it, and it's going to be him on the left side. Brandon asks an interesting question. Will any mysteries actually be uncovered now that he's a Texan now? Because uncovering mysteries isn't really a Texan thing while in the building. I think this one gets uncovered naturally because it really comes down to, can he play? Because when we talk about what's happened the last 2 years, the undertone and basically what we're saying is that he didn't play very well the last 2 years. Is there a reason? And if we see him go out there and not be good for the Texans, then I think that kind of solves the mystery naturally. Like, I don't think we're going to I'm not insinuating that there's like some sort of, oh, well, they did this to him or anything like that. I think we kind of got we kind of got to where we could kind of hear him say that he likes to be more of a run guy. But we'll see if he can play. I think that's going to be what ultimately will decide that. Let's get into some mocks. So I'm not really a mock draft guy. I don't love them. I can appreciate them, especially from guys that I observe. And there's probably the guys that I follow when it comes to the draft. It's a pretty small list. Dane Brugler is the king. He is our king when it comes to the draft. The beast is the best thing ever. I've known Dane I worked with Dane a little bit briefly. We're not like bros. We know each other, but not like bros. But I've seen his grind and I respect his grind. I like McShay to a certain point. I don't really listen to his show, but I like McShay. And I can get down with a Field Yates mock here or there. Other than that, there's not really much. Like I listen more to the people in the chat when it comes to draft opinions, and we just kind of discuss it. But there's not like a lot of like overall just draft content. But that's really where I'm at. So when I look at mocks, that's kind of what I look at. And there seems like I'm going to pull these up. The previously mentioned mocks, although Dane hasn't dropped the beast yet. He's still working on that, cramming. But when you pull these up, there does seem to be like a kind of consistent theme when it comes to what people think the Texans will or won't do. Trucker Cam TX on the chat says, mocks are literally never accurate. I don't understand why we do them as a fan base, because we never pick where we think we will. I don't think they're that serious. Like, I don't think they're like calling their shot. I don't think they're like weathermen. But I mean, that's the beauty of the unpredictability of sports. Like, you can make the case that like even like March Madness or the NFL, no one's ever right, but you fill out stuff. It's like filling out a bracket. Like, why do you fill out a bracket? And a lot of times the mock draft is just kind of to show the path, like the possibility of what can happen, get the brain flowing. I don't think you should take it that serious to where you're expecting it to be right, because it's impossible. We don't know what these teams are thinking. We don't know what they're saying. We don't know what they're doing. But that's the whole point. It's not that serious. That's what I would say. Madman says, is Seth Payne's interview with Wyatt Teller posted anywhere? I didn't know that he had an interview with Wyatt Teller. I know he asked a couple of questions to Wyatt Teller. It was the press conference. I don't think they posted the Zoom presser. But I think Seth just asked him 2 questions in a presser. So I don't think there was that like an actual interview unless he said it was. I would assume that he would play it on his radio show. But I don't know. So I don't think he has an interview. But let's look at these mocks and let's try to make some sense of them and what went down. No, it's all good, man. Mad Max is apologizing. It's confusing because the press conference wasn't live. They didn't stream it. And Seth's saying he asked questions. It was so confusing that people thought me and Seth did a show together with his post. So yeah, that was a little bit bizarre. But let's pull up McShay's mock draft. And he actually did like a whole database, which is pretty cool. If y'all haven't seen this, I'll drop the link right here. It's actually really cool. Now his written stuff is behind a paywall. I'm not paying for a mock draft, but I'll drop this in the chat. But he actually did like a whole war room, as you can see right here. And it's actually pretty cool. So he has a big board, He has 100 players listed on his big board, which is really cool to see. And then he has, like, if you want to do it by player, like, let's say that you think the Texans should draft you can put the Texans needs. This is really well done by Todd. Let's say you think they should get a tight end. He has Roush in the top 5. And let's say you think they should get an offensive tackle, an interior offensive lineman, and obviously a DT. Then you can put all those guys and they'll go in order of the best available. So it's actually pretty sick. Now, what if you say, well, they're not going to draft interior offensive line, so you move that down. And what if you say, well, they're not going to be able to get a tackle, so there you go. So there's your board of, with his top 100, the tight end and the interior defensive line. So I think that's a pretty cool element of what McShay has. Now, you can also click on the mock draft, which is what we were doing. I wasn't trying to plug it. I just think it's a cool thing that McShay did that's very user-friendly. So we go down to this mock draft. I think that Jeremiah loves going forward to the Titans. I really do. I think that's happening. And I think that's going to be interesting dialogue whenever it does happen. So we go down to his mock draft. Spencer Fano, a lot of people liked. He has Sadiq falling. So you're seeing the falling of Sadiq, and then all of a sudden, boom, 27, San Francisco. They take Kenyon Sadiq and Kyle Shanahan, depending on whether the Texans wanted him or not. D'Amico Ryan's mentor takes Kenyon Sadiq and adds him to the offense. And then he has the Texans getting Caden McDonald, who seems like the most popular guy mocked to the Texans, which I would be fine with. I'm a big fan of Caden McDonald. He says there isn't an offensive lineman I'm eager to pair with the Texans here, especially with strong guard and center depth available on day 2. I think we'd all agree with that. I think that's good analysis by he. And then he says, instead, McDonald makes a lot of sense to fill the true run stuffer hole of this defense after it lost 3 interior linemen in free agency. He thinks that he's far more than a 2-gapping space eater, though. On a loaded Ohio State defense filled with NFL talent, he finished 5th on the team with 65 tackles, just 4 fewer than Reese and 3 fewer than Downs. That's crazy. I mean, that's actually kind of crazy when you think about that. So the way that McDonald kind of gets talked about, because he's not a big pass rusher, he almost gets talked about like a guy who, well, he's just taking up space. Some people think Reese is going number 2 in the draft. He had 4 fewer tackles than Reese. Caleb Downs is, a lot of people are saying, like, the best safety prospect since Sean Taylor. Like, Sean Taylor is always the name they mention. He has 3 fewer than Downs. That the sack production's not crazy, but that's insane as far as athleticism. And this is why I kind of like McShay. So that's how he has that going. That would mean that they passed on Pregnon, who some people like. They passed on Lee Hunter, who didn't go earlier. And they passed on, did he have Banks going yet? He did not. So that would mean that they pass on, in McShay's mock, they pass on Banks. And they pass on other guys, which is interesting. So I think that's a cool little exercise. U Stadium, they had McDonald going to the Texans as well, just like McShay. Right here. So they have McDonald going. They also have Sadiq, and they're actually just posting McShay's. So this is not their mock. I think they have their own mock, but they have that. And then we go to Field Yates's. on ESPN, and this is not a one of those that's on a paywall, which I think is absolutely silly. The Field Yates mock draft, as we look at that, this one's a little bit interesting. So you scroll down through the ads. They have the Titans taking Styles. They actually have Love falling 7 to Washington, which I think would be pretty surprising. But that's what they have. We keep going down. Fano's gone, so that long shot's gone. Tampa Bay takes 25-year-old Akeem Messidor at 15. Continue going down. Sadiq goes 19 to Carolina, so that ain't happening in this. And then you go here to 26, the Arizona Cardinals. This is something that I think we will be looking at. The Arizona Cardinals, they elect to trade at 26 to draft Ty Simpson. If you're a Texans fan, you're hoping for a team to perhaps trade with you that has an early second round pick at 26. But in this case, Arizona trades with Buffalo instead of Houston. And then Buffalo gets the picks. And then the Texans, Falk. A lot of people like Falk. He had a decent pro day today too. The Texans go with Peter Woods, which is a guy, maybe I'm not mentioning him enough. I assume that he might not be there. But who knows? Some believe he could go in the top 15, which Field Yates says. If he would have come out last year, he would have been a first-round pick. He had a lot of success at Clemson, just kind of fell off. So in this instance, the Texans pass on McDonald. They pass on Pregnon. They pass on all the DTs that we've been talking about. They pass on, and they go with Peter Woods. Now, if this happened, I don't know that there's going to be like a lot of anger because there's a lot of trust when it comes to DeMeco Ryans, but they pass on McDonald. So suddenly you wonder, okay, well, what are they going to do at 38? And there might be some people saying, hey, let's make DT last year's wide receiver and let's double up if McDonald is there and put together an insane D-line. Well, that goes away at 36 because at 36, the Raiders take McDonald. And then at 38, the Texans go back to Clemson and they take offensive tackle Blake Miller, which kind of goes back to the point where I said tackle over guard. Now we scroll down because the Texans have more day 3. Now DeMeco gets his linebacker with Kyle Lewis out of Lewis, however you pronounce it, I'll figure it out, out of Pittsburgh. And Field Yates talks about the unconventional size, incredible playmaking ability. This would basically be a guy that you would probably put in a spot to where it's kind of a natural transition. So the mocks are interesting. There's a lot of possibilities. There's a lot of discussion, but it just does seem like there's a firm grasp of what the Texans do need. So there we go. It's mock season, and the draft is less than a month away. Cannot wait. A lot of chatter. Caden McDonald feels like the popular name. I wonder if the Texans like him. We know DeMeco Ryans puts a lot of thought into DT, and that's something that he's going to have to figure out because he's going to get his guy. It's just a matter of how soon. What a fun time to be alive. Again, Spanky's this Friday. Look forward to seeing y'all there. I'm going to get the extra cheese pie with the sausage and mushroom, I think. I don't know. I might change my mind. Cody puts pineapples on his pizza. A lot of people get upset about that. I don't think it's the craziest thing. Not my cup of tea, but it is what it is. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. CJ's got a new guy along with his old guy. Wyatt Teller has a lot to say, and the mock draft season is upon us. There's so many paths for the Texans. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. I went to the zoo today with my daughter. I think I picked up a cold. Like when you take I took my daughter to the zoo because she's going to preschool Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I stay with her Tuesday, Thursday. You're worried about the daughter with like the hand sanitizer, and then you're the one that ends up getting the cold at the zoo. Happens. Oh, well. Appreciate y'all for rolling through. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Speaking of zoo, it is crazy around here. Bye-bye.
Every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up, we number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.